they were changing the set list for an 80,000 people concert just because I asked Nina and she asked Dave.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Foos Files, the podcast for fans of the Foo Fighters. Hope you're all having a lovely week so far. It's Dan here. It's currently late on Tuesday evening here in the UK at the time of recording, so I've kind of been holding on as long as possible really, because it feels like a new release from the Foo Fighters is imminent, isn't it? I'm sure you've all seen those teasers by now on the official Foo Fighters social media channels. I think 11 snippets of possible new songs have been identified through those teasers. And interestingly, those of you who've got a really, really good ear for these things managed to pick out Asking for a Friend and Unconditional, which is really interesting. And it kind of answers a couple of questions that we've had for a while, doesn't it? Particularly Asking for a Friend, because when that dropped a few months ago, we all wondered, is this going to be a standalone single or is it part of a forthcoming album? So that kind of clears that one up. Then Unconditional, I mean, we've heard nothing of that since 2024 when they played it 3 times here in the UK. I think they did 2 nights in Manchester back to back that they played it, and then in Glasgow too. And then nothing since, so it's good to see they've polished that one up for the new album. And while all that's going on, it's also been confirmed that they're playing a taping of the Graham Norton show next week. So the recording is on Thursday the 19th and the show is scheduled to air the following day. Now I know I've got a lot of listeners who aren't in the UK who may not be fully aware of the Graham Norton show, but basically it's regarded as the premier chat show here. It used to be the late great Michael Parkinson, but now it's the Graham Norton show that basically attracts all the A-list guests. I mean, Robert De Niro's been on there a few times, Bruce Springsteen's been on there. This season alone, I think they've had Kate Hudson, Hugh Jackman, Margot Robbie, some of the Stranger Things cast. You get the idea, they're really, really top stars. Dave has been a guest on there a couple of times during the pandemic in 2021. He was on as a remote guest around the time of Medicine at Midnight being released. And then he appeared in person too when he was kind of doing the promotional rounds when his book came out. Now, the format for the show, normally, Graham brings on the main guests right at the start onto the sofa for an interview chat style format. Then there'll be a musical act performing towards the end. They'll play the song and then come over for a chat with the rest of the panel. So we kind of expect that's what the Foo Fighters will do, or at least Dave will come over to join the others at the end and answer a few questions from Graham. It would be amazing if he was one of the main guests for the duration of the show, but as we know, he doesn't really do extensive interviews anymore, so I can't see that one happening, but you never know. Now, the other big questions that remain are, number 1, what song are they going to play? The smart money is that we might get a new release between now and then. And then number 2, are they in the UK just to tape a TV performance, or have they got something else up their sleeve? That remains to be seen as well, but nevertheless, it's all very exciting.
And this must be so frustrating, this idea of Foo Fighters being grounded, because nothing stops you guys. I mean, even your broken leg did not stop you.
Well, I was, I fell off the stage and I broke my leg. Well, I mean, here's the thing.
Wait a minute, Dave. Is that you still singing while your leg is being set?
Yes.
Now, on to the main crux of this week's episode, because while all the exciting new stuff is bubbling away in the background, it's also a very important date in the diary this Tuesday, the 17th, because it's Taylor Hawkins' birthday. He would have been 54, and I know some of the various fan groups have got some stuff planned to mark the occasion. There's a get-together, for example, at Laguna Beach in California over the weekend, which is a really lovely thing to do. So what I'm going to do is share a really poignant story from our friend Cristian Macouzet in Leon, Mexico. You might remember Cristian from a few episodes back when he came on to talk about the performance in his home city. Like Taylor, Christian's favourite Foo Fighters song is Aurora, and he was actually there for what sadly turned out to be the final time Taylor performed it in Mexico City the week before he died. And as Christian explains, Aurora wasn't actually meant to be on the set list that night, but a really interesting turn of events happened that led to the band adding it to the show at the last minute.
So, this happens when you see a band a lot of times. You start to get picky. And that's an awful thing for a fan to do, but you also want to listen to different songs. And at least I start collecting songs that they haven't played this one, and I really want to hear it. And Foo Fighters has an amazing discography. So I'm now really a big fan of collecting different songs, even though I always want them to play Everlong and All My Life and The Pretender and those kind of songs, times like this, of course. But then one song that is really, really special for me, and then maybe is the one that I like the most now. I don't know if more than Everlong, maybe it is. It's Aurora, and they never play Aurora back then. It's not a single, it wasn't a big hit. So now I always wanted to listen to Aurora, and they wouldn't play it. I watched the Foo Fighters many times now in Mexico, in the Corona capital. But back in 2022, Taylor Hawkins was still alive. At the beginning of the year, they went to Mexico, and I really wanted to listen to Aurora. So back then, I worked at a tiny radio station in a university. It was an online radio station, but I used to play a lot of alternative music, and many agents would look for me to look for interviews for new artists, also some big artists. So at that show, the band that was opening was called Kills Birds. I don't know if you know that band, but it's an amazing band. You really should listen to it. So back then, Mona, a friend of mine who is an agent, told me that if I wanted to interview Kills Birds. And I was like, sure, of course. So I had this interview live with Nina Elgetti, who is one of the most amazing singers. And it's a very, very sweet person. So since they were opening for the Foo Fighters, of course, I asked her about her songs, their new single back then that was Rabbit. But since they were opening to the Foo Fighters, I asked her which was her favorite Foo Fighters song. And she said, oh, it's Aurora, without a doubt. So I completely lost it, that I was the interviewer and I became this big Foo Fighters fan. And I was like, oh, that's a song that I love and I've never seen it live. And she was, well, it's one of the most amazing experiences. You have to see Aurora live. And I don't like to see the set list because I like to go to the concert without knowing what's going to happen. So it's a surprise. So I told her, please don't tell me, don't spoil for me everything. Don't tell me if Aurora is on the set list. But please tell Dave they have to play Aurora in Mexico. And she was like, sure, I will tell Dave. So that was it. Then I went to Mexico City, that it's 5 hours away from Leon. I got there a day earlier. So I wrote to Mona and I was like, I bought some presents for Nina. Oh, because I also asked Nina in the interview, what was she going to do after playing with the Foo Fighters in Mexico? And she was like, I'm going to have a party with mezcal. So I bought Nina some good mezcales, and I wrote to Mona and I was like, I have a present for Nina. Can I take them to the hotel? Can I give them to you so you give the mezcales to her? And she was like, yeah, they're having rehearsal here. I will ask her if she wants to meet you. And she said yes. She is a very, very sweet person. So I went there and I gave her the mezcals and we talked. And I remember her that she had to please tell Dave to play Aurora. And she was like, don't worry, I will tell him. So I went to the concert. Kills Birds were fantastic. They're an incredible band. I hope you all can see Kills Birds anytime soon. And then Foo Fighters was playing, and a friend went with me, and I didn't know this back then, but he saw the set list, and they were never playing Aurora at those times. So he wasn't trying to spoil me, but he was like, well, I'm sure the concert will be great. If they don't play Aurora, don't pay much attention to it. Like, enjoy it. They'll sure play many good songs. But I was like, no, I need to listen to Aurora live. I don't even care if they don't play Everlong at this show. They have to play Aurora. So my friend was feeling sorry for me because he knew the awful truth. So the Foo Fighters were playing. They were playing great, as always. But then, like 1 hour and a half between the show, Dave said, okay, this is our last song. And everybody was like, no. And then they play a lot of songs, no? And again, okay, this now is really our last song. No! And they didn't play Aurora. So I was like, the next time he says that is going to be really the last song and they haven't played Aurora. So I was losing the faith. And then they had already played everything. It was just left there like Monkey Wrench and Everlong, but they already had played like all the big hits. So I was like, okay, I think this is it. If they won't play Aurora. And yeah, the concert was great, you know. But then he says, okay, I want to thank the band that opened for us today, the Killsbirds. It's one of the greatest bands of the world. And they asked me to play this song, so this is a song for them, and this is a song for the big die-hard fans, because it's not a very known song.
We had some really amazing opening bands tonight. We had The Warning play, that was amazing. And we had one of my favorite bands in the world, Killsbirds, played with us. Love them so much. They requested this song. We weren't gonna play this song tonight, but I thought, okay, let's do it to show love for our friends. This one's for all the real old school Foo Fighters fans. We don't do it all the time, but tonight we'll do it for you and for them.
So they played Aurora, and again, with the first note, I was screaming like crazy, and I couldn't believe it that they were changing the set list for an 80,000 people concert just because I asked Nina and she asked Dave, and they play Aurora, which was like a song I thought I will never hear live. And of course I cried because Aurora live, it's an extended version. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. So it was like a very, very emotional time for me. And after that, they play Monkey Wrench, and I couldn't stop crying. And then they play Everlong, and that was it. So the next day, I saw the printed set list that someone uploaded to the social media, and they weren't actually playing Aurora. They just changed the set list because Nina told them. So I was very, very grateful. 10 days later, after that, Taylor Hawkins passed away. So I was shocked because I just had seen him, you know, and he was so full of life. He was joking. He was playing incredibly fast and well. So nobody could believe Taylor was gone, you know. So then I used to work at the radio station, so I made this special podcast about Taylor's passing. So I started like doing some research, and I found out that the favorite song of Taylor was actually Aurora, and I didn't know that back then. So I finished the podcast with Aurora because it fitted. I put like Cold Day in the Sun, that it's the song where Taylor sings. I played some songs of other projects he had, of course some Foo Fighters songs, and then I ended the podcast with Aurora. So many friends listened to it, and they knew how special Foo Fighters is for me. So they were writing to me when they knew Taylor died. And then a friend who listened to the podcast and listened to Aurora and realized that Aurora was Taylor's favorite song, asked me if the Mexico's concert was the last concert Taylor played. And I was like, no, I think he played a couple of shows in Argentina, but they were festivals. So yeah, Mexico was like his last full-length concert. And she was asking me like, was it the last time they play Aurora? And I was like, yeah, they didn't play Aurora in South America. So yeah, Mexico was the last time they play Aurora. And then she told me, well, then they didn't only give you to play Aurora for you. You gave them that Taylor could play his favorite song one last time. And I got the chills. I almost cried when I listened to that because it was true. It was the last time Taylor played Aurora, which was his favorite song. And they weren't going to play it if it wasn't because I was so stubborn. And I told Nina and Mona, and they were so nice, and they told Dave to play it. And there's actually a video with Dave that day before the concert that Mona and Nina are telling him, you can hear their voices, if he's going to play Aurora. And Dave, he says maybe in the video, but then he played it in the show. So yeah, it was the last time Taylor played his favorite song. And after that, Aurora became a big hit. Well, not a big hit, but at least it became a regular song in the Foo Fighters concerts because of Taylor. It's like a tribute to him. So I'm glad that now Aurora is a more well-known song and that they play it more often because it's really an amazing song. But I'm also glad that Taylor got to play it one last time.
We like to do this song every night because it was Taylor Hawkins' favorite Foo Fighters song. Everybody, let's fucking hear it for Taylor right now. Give him a fucking hand.
Thanks so much to Cristian. That was really poignant stuff. And, you know, we'll all be thinking of Taylor on Tuesday, I'm sure. And here on the podcast, you know, we'll make it our duty to carry on sharing stories about him and do our bit to keep his memory alive. So that's it for this week. Thanks again for listening. Just as a reminder, if you click the link at the top of the show notes, you can get the Foos Files weekly Substack newsletter for a bit of extra bonus content. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great week, and we'll see you again next time.